Welcome back to Cutting Edge Consciousness, thought-provoking discussions and bold ideas from the edge of possibility.
Yes, as the man with the incredibly smooth FM voice says, welcome back to Cutting Edge Consciousness. This is Barnett. I'm here with Freeman. You had something a place you wanted to take this conversation.
It feels like it's almost a different conversation. Just an observation. So we talk a lot about qualities. What's the quality in something, versus the expression? What's underneath it that has that I feel drawn to, that I feel is attractive. I met a man, I think it was a couple days ago, who was incredibly friendly. He was a caretaker for a 91-year-old man, and we were sitting there waiting at the at the pharmacy for a prescription to be filled. And I was sitting next to him, and he was first he was on the phone making this man's next appointment. Then he was interacting with a sort of a nurse who was just checking on them. And then he was talking to me. And in all cases, he had a genuine, friendly quality about him. And I was so enamored with it. I often come across friendly and I don't trust it, right? It's sort of, manipulative friendly. Like, I'm not sure it's really friendly or when the other shoe is going to drop. And that was not the case. This man really seemed genuinely friendly. And it's a quality that I really appreciated. I really went, wow, like that's a guy you want to hang out with, like that friendly quality. I don't know where this is going, by the way. It's just one of those things where, hey, they're qualities that I quickly identify. That I'm attracted to and that I want to generate and create more of in my life. This is just a new one. It wasn't one that I held as like, well, that's a quality, a friendly quality, that I'm really open to friendship as an offer in the world. That's what I want to generate more of, is friendship. And I've seen it so insincerely represented. To see someone who really embodies that struck me in that moment. Like, wow, that's cool. That guy is sincerely and authentically friendly.
So if that was a shadow experience, a light shadow experience,
No, it's a great one.
If it was...
you might want to explain light shadow. I'm not sure everyone's knowing what you're talking about.
We talk about the shadow, and generally we hear about things of a constrictive or dark or difficult nature as being some sort of shadow projection of denied aspects of self, denied styles of operating in the world. That which we deny, we push down. I would hate to think X, Y, or Z about myself. I would hate to think that. So I push it down, I deny it. And it comes out at me as the way of the world.
Yeah, so I would hate to think I'm a bully. I would hate to think I'm arrogant. I would hate to
think... So that's a sort of a dark shadow. And that's certainly one of the great appeals for me of horror films and violent films, because I get to push it down and experience them there in a very safe way. And I know I am having a relationship with my shadow.
That's interesting.
But we also have a light shadow,
yep.
And we deny what is beautiful about ourselves, and what is compassionate about ourselves, and what makes others feel seen and valued and heard and known and visible and listened to, and that they matter. So we deny many things that are beautiful about ourselves, and that light shadow is in many ways more difficult to integrate and assimilate and accept about ourselves, because we have stories about vanity and it's an ego thing, and it is until it isn't. Is it really my ego, or is it simply a recognition of what is true here? So I'm suggesting that you had this beautiful experience with this man, and that he was reflecting back to you your own qualities, your own friendliness.
Yeah.
And he also, in the reflection, you also became more deeply aware of the energies involved in choice points that for the most part, you have been unconscious of before.
Yep.
Those include suspicion. Those include a questioning of how
Trust.
sincere,
Manipulation.
And so, and this is why it's so difficult. It's been so difficult for me to embrace my own light shadow, because in the embracing of that, I am more clearly aware of my dark shadow. I am more clearly aware of, I have a lot of distrust and a lot of manipulation and a lot of other agendas that I don't care to admit to. And so I push them out, and it keeps me from owning something that is beautiful, because in the owning of it, I would see the shadow of the dark shadow of the light shadow, both of which are mine. So that was sort of a bit of
perfect.
a pretzel of an explanation.
It is. Well, everything has layers. So the genuine, this man seemed to genuinely like people, and people seemed to genuinely like him. I guess that's the simplicity of it. And I found that very sweet, personally. And that his job is to take care of this 91-year-old man. The whole thing struck me as sweet. I just had a moment there at the Kaiser Pharmacy on Cadillac, waiting for my prescription because I was about to have oral surgery, of sweet. Like, that is so sweet.
So bear with me.
Yeah.
Because that's beautiful.
Yeah.
And we're in the awareness thing. So below that, that's beautiful. And what does it say about who you are? You have to be that to see that.
Yeah, no, and I think
you are that.
I am. Again, what you were saying, that it doubles back on itself, is the minute I'm observing myself observing, something gets tripped, that there's a way in which I would like to, and I have a sense of when I'm being genuine and when there's a genuine exchange in the world and it's friendly and it feels good and it wasn't plotted. And even the reflecting back on it isn't dramatic. It's just a noting of like, wow, that's sweet, of my own experience, right? My own interaction. We have lots of sweet moments, you and I. Some come on the tail of some challenge, but some are just moments of, I love our greeting. When I see you at the coffee house, it's always fun. There's this kind of, hey, good to see you. That feels good. We do that. It's very organic. We didn't plan it. We haven't plotted it. Like, how do we do it? I slap you on the back and then you we don't do that. So, look, I'm very open to generating more of these kinds of experiences. And I'm really enamored with this person who showed up to reflect it back to me in a way that I really like, that I'm attracted to. So, I guess that's the whole of the story for me, sweet.
So to go to how we connect before the show.
Yeah.
I am thrilled to see you.
Yeah. That feels good.
That feels good. And
feels good.
So whose choice is that? That's my choice.
Right.
What part of me is making that choice? The present adult part of me that's making that choice. Then, as in any relationship, because relationships are laboratories, a healthy relationship is a loving laboratory to reflect and reflect back both the leading edges and the bleeding edges. So then what might happen, and what has happened from time to time, is, so I'm thrilled, and then what will come up is something that is not as thrilling. So what will come up with is like my impatience. I'll say something like, well, it's so great to see you at, wow, I don't know, we were going to have some time today and there's no time.
Right.
Then you'll say, well, I got held up in traffic.
Right.
And this is a documentary, folks.
That is a documentary.
And
That's
then,
exactly what happened.
And then I realize, oh, wait a second, I am feeling impatient.
Yeah.
I'm feeling impatient and even blaming.
Yeah.
So what part of me is making that choice?
Yeah.
The part that feels comfortable being a warrior. And how often does that part of me express the flip side of being a warrior is being a nurturer? How often do I play the flip side more, the head side of the coin more than the tail side? Well, I do.
Right.
Do I want to really own that? Not so much, because there is a cheap hit of power out of playing a default thing.
Right.
So there are these. We spoke on the show last week about the truer self that exists outside of time and space, that has certain energies. I think there are 12, and they include the warrior and the nurturer. They include the naive and the waif. The waif is street smart, but the naive has an innocence. They include like the creator and the destroyer. There's a number of other ones, and we don't need to go into it here and now, but there are certain constant, when it's all balanced, then I can be a nurturing warrior.
Right.
Or I can be a waif warrior, or a waif who is wise as opposed to street smart.
Yeah, we called that mature innocence before. I just like that language.
A street smart, the highest expression of street smart is somebody who really knows their way in the world.
Right.
Really knows, I have learned all the things that, I'm a really great lawyer, and I run a business, and nobody gets one past me, and I really know how to play the game. And we tend to default to these certain kinds of energies more so than in that lawyer instance, more so than the waif, who is just innocent and has the power out of that innocence to discover real wisdom, not just street smartness.
Right.
The meta wisdom, the metaphysical wisdom,
right.
The bigger picture of wisdom.
That's a great point right there, that our culture has the collective, my experience of the collective, which of course is a reflection of me, has given tremendous onus to being street smart, like the lawyer, or someone who seems to have power in that way, versus the waif.
And the warrior as destroyer, as battler. Everything is a war. Everything is a struggle. Everything is a domination thing.
Yeah.
As opposed to the flip side of the warrior, which is a nurturer. And then there are some people who, especially on the spiritual path, who deny the warrior energy. There is nothing for which I will fight.
Right.
And so that gets denied.
That passivity.
There's nowhere for it to go.
Right.
So it gets pushed down, and it comes out as a lot of hostility and a lot of warrior energy, and then we continue to deny it. So this
such a good
all
point,
threading back to something as beautiful as being sitting on a bench at the CVS with somebody whose light shines through so clearly as friendly, and being able to own, I am choosing that out of a balanced, integrated adult self. I'm making the choice to see that without layers of agenda.
Yep.
And I'm willing to own at the same time all the layers of agenda I have. I get to own that too. I get to love it. And I get to say, well, I'm going to look at those layers of agenda and not throw them all out.
Right.
But the part that is competitive, the part that looks for agenda, that's the street smart one that is always looking for an angle. So maybe I will temper that.
Yep.
I'll love it. I'm not going to go to war with it, because I already do war 24/7.
Right.
Maybe I'm going to bend that to the nurturing part, and maybe I will bend the suspicious street smart one that's looking for an angle, because I am always looking for an angle.
Right.
I'll bend that to the naive who has wisdom and doesn't need to be street smart, but knows that there are more things on heaven and earth, Horatio, than we have been taught.
That we can think of in our philosophy.
So much more to be gained by embracing the shadow, both light and dark, not as another admonition or another way to scold ourselves.
Yeah, no, and I love the mythological archetypal through line, because as we've said before, the tendency to pathologize and to be in the fix-it mode, and how much that organizes around cultural agreements and doesn't really go deeper, that there's a deeper thread in the human experience than just what we've collectively agreed reality is, from the small story reservation perspective. And the archetypes, go across time and space. There are these themes, these energies, these frequencies that
They go beyond time space.
That's what I just said. That really represent the human experience and have so much to offer us. You know, reflecting on just what you're talking about, all these archetypes, and going, "Wow, I've been that. I've been that." You know, we start to see it all.
And we have direct experience.
That's the issue
of life beyond time space.
Right.
Every night, you go to sleep. You
Well,
are
this is
not
why the
in
symbols in
space.
dreams. That's why the symbols in dreams tend to follow these sort of mythological.
Well, the
threads.
symbols in dreams, whether we're dreaming in our beds
Right.
or whether we're dreaming on the 405
Yeah, that's a good
freeway,
point.
there is no difference.
That's a good point.
One is a more a denser set of frequencies, less bandwidth,
Right.
denser, moves a little slower, although things are moving pretty quickly these days.
Sure.
But there is no, again, the distinction between being street smart and wise.
Right.
Street smart, you know how to operate inside the illusion.
Right.
Wise, you know it's an illusion.
Right. That's a distinction right there. That's
So
fantastic.
it takes a certain amount of innocence to become street smart, and at the same time, without losing sight of the street smarts, have the innocence to know there are other forces that allow me to be in the flow of the dreaming. With that, I think we are at the end of the flow.
Spencer, we've run out of time. We are. Okay, so thanks so much for
Thank you,
joining us.
Spence,
We
as
invite
always.
you all to tune in next week because we'll be back here on Cutting Edge Consciousness.